minutes from December 27th.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Tim's moved, Don seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4. Do we gotta approve the continuation? Approve the continuation minutes for December 30th, year-end transfers.
Also moved.
Second.
Don's moved, Bob seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Miscellaneous motions. Move to appoint Roy Skillman as a member of the Coffee County Fire Board to fulfill an unexpired term effective immediately and ending December 31st, 2024.
Okay, this is the one that, Johnny Redding held. Johnny resigned. Roy's also, he was in my district. Roy's also in my district. And just so you'll know, being a good boy, I talked to Wade before this, because he wanted to appoint somebody that Wade would have to work with it.
No problem
We came to
whatsoever.
an agreement, and so I'm gonna make that motion to appoint Roy to fill in an unexpired term.
I'll second.
Moved by Bob, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That's the end of our book. Call on 905, Bryson Meeks. Good morning.
Good morning, how are we?
We're here.
Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I'm Bryson. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Leroy project, about the update. I did go to City Council December 5th. I told the council what you guys have talked about, showing a little bit of interest, possibly in just having talks. I didn't get one comment from the city about it, and so I took, we've talked to zoning. Zoning has been mentioned. I talked to Bobby that they want to redo their regulations, possibly. Right now, the regulations for land in the county, having it small, is 1 acre. The land is 8.9 acres, so that's not really going to work right now. So we plan on attending they have a public hearing about redoing the regulations, so that's where we're at. We appreciate Bobby working with us, and we look forward to seeing those regulations happen. He's talked about Vito bringing in a lot of jobs, and we anticipate, or we would hope, that Leroy would want to eventually take the opportunity to work with the county. So just wanted to update you guys on that. We plan on moving forward this year and hopefully having some progress on it, and hopefully by the end of the year maybe seeing some roads and rooftops and new people to town and to the county. So
Very well.
that's where we're at.
It's frustrating that there's very little correspondence with the city. That's frustrating.
I agree. But I just gotta take the next step and go with the county, and maybe when the county, maybe when the city sees that the county is making some progress, and they see that we're serious about this and that this is a good project, that the county will then want to, or the city will then want to come to the table and work with us, and I mean, I think we all want the same goal. We want housing, we want new people. I want more kids in the school. I don't want the school to lose anymore. So, and I know the city wants the same thing, and the county wants the same thing, so we'll get there.
Has the school board, has any of the school representatives been to the city council at the same time? Okay.
Yeah, Matt Thompson is our superintendent. We've asked him, so he came to the original meeting July of 21 when we introduced it. Bobby was there, BG, when we introduced it, and that's when we proposed it to the city that they paid for it, that the city paid in full, and that's when the city kind of got scared, and that's when the project just kind of disappeared. And we've talked to council members about how the school wants, they're worried about numbers. I mean, I think every school in the county is, maybe not Burlington, but I know every school in the county is worried about numbers. So they've showed interest in it, and they know it's a need. So we've had that talk, and I think the school is willing to come to the table and talk to the city about why this is a need and why this is important, and they want the same thing that the city does, is growth, which is best for everybody. So I think we'll just continue the talks, go to the zoning and see where we get there, and have that be our best option, and then ask the city to join us and move forward.
Yep, kinda start laying the bricks and see what happens.
Yeah, so,
Good things come to those who wait.
yeah.
Bryson, it seems like, that the infrastructure to make that all fall in place, it's got a wide range of putting that in place.
Mhm.
That may end up being a little bit of a holdback on things, in my mind. We recognize we need the housing in the worst way.
Mhm.
But, the project on the infrastructure has been from 400,000 to 500,000 to $1 million plus. Is there any way to secure a better number for that? I know after you secure it, it can move up and down. I fully realize that
Mhm.
until the project would happen. But I'm not too sure getting solid numbers on the infrastructure might be a huge
And I did talk to Bobby.
step forward.
And I did talk to Bobby about that. That is a good point. So and we've talked with the engineer. Obviously, engineering company is going to want to estimate it as much as they can to make money, and that's how they operate. So I talked to Bobby, and with these new regulations, we have talked about reworking of maybe going with a more local source of replatting it and getting more hard numbers of, if I go with local people to replat it and work on the numbers, then the numbers would then lower, rather than going with a big engineering company. So that's my plan, to figure out how to.
I think it'd be a plus to get somewhat of a hard number.
Yeah.
Because right now, that number's all over the place.
He's mentioned that I should talk to Mike Skillman to see about working with that, and I think that would be great, because I've talked to Mike about the project, and I've talked to Housing Authority a lot, and I've even offered to deed them some lots. I mean, and they've showed interest in that, so I think that would be a good step to do, and that would be a goal, is to get a more hard number for you guys and for me and
For the city.
Yeah, because I know when we have proposed it to them in the past, that, I mean, it started out at $500,000, and then rumors spread around town that it would get to 1.5 million, and that's not what I don't want, the rumors to kill it. So I'm going to work with Bobby and Mike, so I can get a more hard set number, so this can happen.
I think that'd probably be the next step to go towards.
Yeah, I agree.
Bryce, I just want to say, I really respect the fact that you came back to update us, because I'll be honest with you, kind of walked in here as a young guy, and I thought, well, okay, they got good hopes, but you've gone to the city, and a lot of people would just, when the city said no, they would have left and nothing else. I appreciate the fact that you came back and gave us an update of what's really going on. So I said, to me, I respect that.
Well, thanks. I love Leroy, I really do, and I don't want it to die, and I love the county, and I want people to move here, and I want our school to stay open. I want progress, and we all want that, and if I'm gonna get told no, it's gonna take a million no's, and I just need one yes, is what I need. So that is my plan, is to just get one yes, and then that's when we move forward, so.
It's very frustrating, because you're basically given the property, and you still have pushback,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Keep up the hard work.
I see the frustration, I really truly do.
You know, but I know we'll get there. As a county, as a city, as a whole, we'll get there. So I appreciate you guys listening to me, and I'll keep you guys updated with the zoning, and yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Bryson.
Thank you, Bryson.
Thank you.
See you, Sarah.
Kinda got a little slack time for our 9:30 wellness committee that we'll have to go down to the lobby for. Lots of slack time.
Yeah, I thought he said he was bringing the mayor and it needed 30 minutes, so I was.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
The mayor didn't show up, or wasn't invited, one of the two.
I didn't get show up.
I have a couple things.
Go ahead.
I messaged Christina after the conversation about the time off when the courthouse was closed and all that, and I said, it's really not, because I went back and read it again in the new policy manual, and it really does not say how employees are to be paid or not paid or whatever. And so in her email that she wrote back, she said most pay their employees if the commissioners make the decision to close operations. If the commissioners do not close operations and the employees choose to not come to work, it is out of their vacation or PTO. She said she can send some language for review when she returns next week.
I don't know if that was really the question, and then the problem, was it? The problem was, if we close it, are we gonna extend your vacation times if you happen to be on vacation?
Right, but this will, well, I need to go back and,
Yeah, I mean, I understand, yeah, if we close it, we're gonna pay you, because
Right.
we closed it.
okay,
But if you choose not to come in, it's on your time.
Or if you had a day scheduled.
But the whole problem was, if you were on vacation and we closed it, are we going to pay you and give you your vacation time back? To
right,
me, that was the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was the root of the,
okay. Well, I'll get that clarified from her too.
Yeah, that's a decision we need to make.
well, I mean, it's an easy made decision. It's all on how to word
It's
it.
easy to make.
It's easy to make.
Because the answer is no.
Yeah, I mean,
In my eyes.
I don't think it's a question, it's just, that it needs to be clarified, I guess.
I think we, as you indicated before, we just need to get her here, not only to sort of cover some of these lingering issues, but to meet the new commissioners and to move forward from there. So I hadn't done anything with her because I knew she was gone until yesterday or today. And then
She's coming the 30th.
The 30th?
She can't get here before then. She could have come today, but with Tom being gone, I figured that probably wouldn't be. Then her next available was the 30th.
What else?
The other thing was we've got another prescription rebate in. It's for the first quarter of 2022 in the amount of $34,991.35.
Where's that money go? Is that going into the
Employee benefits.
employee benefits account?
About the same as what it has been.
33,000?
Yeah.
It's been in that 30 range,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
That's the only two things I had.
Has the payments been coming in on the loans out? I know we had a car wash, we got a car wash deal, and we got the bakery downtown. Has that stuff been coming in as scheduled, everything good there?
I'll need to
Has there
check
been
with
any
Bobby
that-
on that.
Was there any
Didn't
else?
we have another car wash too?
Well, we had this car wash up here.
I don't know where really.
Oh, we have one at Waverly too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna ask Bobby that question.
What about the water department?
We have-
You want to get him up here if he's available?
If he's available, we got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of bombarding him, but I hate to ambush
Well,
him.
he's gonna bring the results for the circus or the, whatever you call it, that day up too.
Has he got that
I
finalized?
stopped and asked him in the morning if he had it, and I said, would you bring it up? Because Don wants to know, and I'd kinda like to know.
That's what I said about a month ago, or probably 2 months ago, and he still doesn't
Harris
have it.
Malone, I missed it.
There you go.
But, well, see, he did wanna know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know too, and I've had people ask, so I thought, let's just get the real facts out here, and
Well, there's no doubt in my mind, the circus was probably, or the whole event was probably a little money loss, there was some
Yeah.
money loss, but
Yeah.
it was,
he told us 2 or 3 weeks ago he'd bring it to, bring it to us, but he hadn't done it yet, so I said, okay. let's get it done.
County got a lot of exposure out of it.
and I think better advertising will rectify the negative number the next go around.
Well, Steve, if they do appoint you next week for the area agency, meetings at 10 o'clock Tuesday over at the office
They're not-
in Ottawa, yes. Or whoever they do appoint. That's what it is.
Bobby's not here, but Rhonda said she can bring back a report showing you the payments are coming in
Okay.
for all, and EV Sports too, I think it's another one,
That's
wasn't it?
another one, yeah. Yeah,
So-
that's fine. I just wanted to make
That's
sure,
one I-
I was thinking about it when I pulled in town today, I was like, cause I really need to wash my pickup, so I was thinking about getting my pickup washed. It'll just get muddy again.
It's just gonna get muddy again, I see.
Yeah, that's something, that's fine. It was just a question. Start of the new year, wanna make sure everything that happened last year is still rolling as it should.
And maybe he could do like a quarterly report or something to present you guys or something.
Mhm. Yeah, personally, yeah, we need to stay on top of that. I'd like to have a quarterly report on it.
Yeah, they kinda got left every, quarterly reports from, we used to get reports about every other month from all department heads, and that kinda went down the drain. Somebody decided no, so nobody pushed it, so.
So the restaurant down here, is that the only one that's got a monthly payment? Or the others, the other two annual? I'm not too sure, the other two's not annual, I know the restaurant was monthly.
I thought there was monthly.
I did
It
too.
could be.
I thought there was monthly. So our meeting today with Joe Serrano, that was to discuss
There's should be in your book, a letter he sent to Richard. He and I discussed it. He wanted to present, it'll be by Zoom. Yep. It won't take very long, but he wanted to cover it. And you'll get to see the owl working.
the owl working. I've seen the owl work.
It's pretty slick.
It's pretty wild. Circles around to the voice that's talking. Thank you, thank you.
Rhonda, did he send out the, that information I asked for too?
I haven't yet, but
Okay.
I'm going to.
Okay, thank you.
Things current. Cafes, 2-1. EV Sports is 1-7. Highway 75 subs is 1-1. Jade Seed, that was another one, was 1-1. Auto Wash is 4-1. RMD Enterprises. Just 1-1 payment. Everybody's got
That's the dates on the payments.
Yeah.
Next payment, January 1st. All of our 23.
That's all due.
January 7th, January 1st, February 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Current, they're all marked yes.
Yep. Good. Good
So
investments.
that's good.
I don't remember who that RMD, is that the hair salon? Okay. Minutes. I'm gonna get a drink. Did you drink? Say we get a drink, get a break, whatever. Take a break early, move about. Got a long time. Of course, wellness will take a little while.
It'll take a little bit. We'll be out of here by 10:15. Watch this.
I gotta make it worth my while to drive down here, Bob. It's a long ways down here.
He had come back the truck anyway.
Well, I might have to wait on that. I get stuff out of the back of the truck before I drive through an auto wash. People don't like that. Wade, you got any roundtable today?
I'll have an executive session, but I don't think we have enough time. By the time we
Okay.
walk down there, it'll be, I mean, it won't take long. 8 minutes.
8-minute executive session? Not buying it, sir. It can be whatever
I'm
it
not
is.
going with it either.
We'll just have
No,
to
this,
come back.
this one will be 8 minutes. It might, maybe even 5. It's not very long. It's just an issue that I need to cover, so you're aware. It deals with non-elected personnel and, somewhat of a medical situation.
Okay.
So obviously that's not gonna be discussed in an open session.
Correct.
There's been one question, well, Tim did too, 3 months ago, and that's when I got, where I wasn't here for a few meetings. Did the wind farm people ever come in and give us any response? And if it's in the minutes or the paper, I flat missed it.
It was not in the paper, but it was YouTube. They came in and talked for a half hour.
What type of, did you get the information we needed?
Their, pilot starts after 10 years, a continuous operation.
There's enough funds there to tear it down when,
Well, they start contributing to their pilot after 10 years of continuous operation.
those funds are contributed to us
Yes,
to put in the,
to put in a fund after 10 years.
There's a decommission agreement that triggers after 10 years, so there's the date they were considered, the operation date that's defined in the decommission agreement. We had to get that information. I think that document was sent from their corporate headquarters in Texas, and then starting in year 10, for every tower
I didn't bring it up.
for years 1 through 5, or it's actually 10 through 15, it's 2,500 per turbine, and then from there it accelerates up and going to year 49. So
yeah, that paper we had was an acceleration on it, but to me it didn't explain very well how those years kicked in, so.
yeah, that's how they kick in.
So they don't kick into year 11 then?
Well, year 10.
Year 10.
Year 10. Well, you
Well,
actually
it'd
don't
be-
get their fund until year 11.
Year 11, so it'd be, yeah, it would be after the 10th year of operation that it would be put into.
Yes.
I think I was gone on that meeting. I think that's when I was in Kentucky. Is that correct? Or was that the power line?
That was power.
That was,
No, it's power line. I think he was here on,
was I here on?
yeah, EDP came in.
But Don, the beauty of it all is you can go back and watch on YouTube and see exactly what was said.
Okay.
Figure out what date that was, and might take a few minutes to
I'm not
figure
too
out
sure
where it
that
is.
wasn't the first meeting I missed. And I don't remember when that first meeting was, without looking.
I'd say, I think it was the second.
For some of the,
It was the 7th.
7th of,
November seventh.
I'm sorry,
November
7th.
7th?
November the seventh,
that's first one I missed.
was it?
I think. They have any response on some of the windmills that's leaking oil,
They was investigating them.
investigating that?
I was here because we told them to go look at the.
Go down
I was here.
22nd,
Yeah,
head
it was
east down
22nd,
Hall
head east. I
Summit,
was here.
and I have not got any reply back.
They say the memory's first thing to go.
And you know, in reality, I wonder, sit here, and I always wonder, why does the county get so excited about the decommissioning? And this was between the landowners and the company, it wasn't between the county and the
I'll
company.
say this, Bob, and then just how I feel, where are they gonna turn?
I don't care, but when they're getting the money, they're not turning to the county and say, hey, here, I got this, I'm gonna give you a share of it.
What did he tell us at the balcony or the podium? He said we would gladly sign them over. And what was my response to him?
No, thank you.
No, but I mean, really, and I understand about all of it, but at the same time, my thought is, why? This was between the county, this wasn't between the county, it's between
I
landowners
agree with that.
and the deal, so it's
Where the public turns,
County had to prove it, it wouldn't have happened.
yeah.
Well, the county receiving money as well.
yeah, a little bit. But, yeah, we could've, if we didn't like some of the others did, we couldn't have been receiving anything, but we were smart enough to jump in and say, well, wait a minute.
I think Hayes was the first one out west, and they got the same paperwork. Ford County's got the same, correction, Dodge is in Ford. Ford's got the same paperwork we did.
I think if you check, that we were the first ones that came up with this, because the ones out by Lincoln County did not have any agreement.
Ford County's paperwork is in our records,
Could be, but
and they had the same agreement.
Is it the same company, the same wind farm company, or is it different?
Not for sure on that.
That's what I was wondering, if it might have been a blanket deal for the wind farm company.
no, it wasn't, because I was chairman and Doug and I sat in here and worked with their auditors for a long time, and Doug came up with this agreement. Whether others.
It's almost that time, right?
Shall we go?
Almost 2 minutes still. It's not gonna take very long to go down one flight of stairs.
No, because I'm gonna be right behind you.
You're gonna push me down. Turn the cameras towards this first stairway, please. Bob's gonna trip me. Sounds like they're on that.
Wade's getting antsy though.
So do we recess?
Wade, no.
No, we stay open.
Just go down.
Keep the.
For that. And since we're not doing anything, I guess I'll just go down.
Yeah, we can go on down. Yeah, we got a minute.
Get a front row seat.
Going down for the wellness ceremony. Cut it off.
Do we have,
Okay.
Brad says he just has to edit all that out.
Okay.
Shutting it off's okay.
I didn't know you actually could shut it off if you didn't, recess.
There's nobody in here. What were they doing?
Just a blip.
Good wages there, have time for,
He's going to go get stuff.
have time for him.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this, it's never been down that low, but I don't know if it goes to 8 minutes.
I think we've had a couple of them 5 minutes, but they don't have very often.
Oh, there we are. By gosh, it went to 8 minutes. We're gonna have to keep trying that out.
Well, I guess Steve just proved he's gonna fit in with this group.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Had a good friend that did that to a gopher hole.
Oh my gosh, that was like a volcano.
He was in the ICU for like 3 weeks.
I bet he was. It just
Blew it
backfired,
back
didn't
out.
it? It just blew it
Come
back out.
right back up on his leg, burned his leg, side.
And you never, well, obviously I didn't think, but you never think about that when you're doing it.
Right.
That accelerant is so fast. And I suppose when it was contained like that, it would just blow backwards.
It reminded me of Caddyshack. I asked if he was trying out for the movie Caddyshack. I got my timer set. I didn't think it went down to 8 minutes, Wade, but it's set for 8 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it'll go to 8 minutes.
Okay.
So I need to request an executive session, myself, the board. Topic is non-elected personnel. The subject matter surrounds an employee and a medical issue. Obviously, that cannot be discussed in an open session. And why it's under non-elected personnel, it deals with job performance issues.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Jesse's moved, Tim seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We will enter at 9:43 for 8 minutes.
Yeah, he was pretty certain he did it.
Yeah. 5-minute break, and then we'll take care of Mr. Bobby, and then go into our 10 o'clock.
Haven't got any calls back.
I'll punch them up. They've been off.
Yes, and that's what, yeah, exactly.
What about those water frogs?
Took it to them.
Man, I hate it. I was hoping Michigan would get the whip up on Ohio State one more time.
I think they either overlooked them or, I mean, you can't throw 2 pick sixes and expect to win.
Yeah.
Now, there were a couple calls in that game where they took the touchdown away from Michigan, and then the next play, Michigan fumbled on the 1-yard line. That's inexcusable, but that should have been a touchdown because they didn't have control of the ball until they got into the end zone.
Yeah.
And then
That Georgia game was a great game. I mean, that was a fun game to watch.
that Tulane game yesterday was USC thought they had it.
Yeah.
They did.
USC deserves that.
Yeah, well, I mean, with
And the
Lake
video-
Riley and what he did to Oklahoma.
The video's rolling, don't sense patrons or team opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate that K-State didn't play closer. I thought in that first quarter, they had the best team in the first quarter.
They did.
Ohio State had a chance to win it,
Yeah.
and it was a similar play last year that they won the Rose Bowl on. Same kicker.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same 50 yards somewhere in that neighborhood, but they won the game last year against Utah on a kick like that. It's one of those things. Shows how important a kicker is.
Well, it's always kind of interesting how when you get down to the end of a game and somebody, let's just say like basketball, somebody misses a basket. Oh, that cost us the game. Well, every missed basket in the whole through the game cost us the game, but that's the one that everybody
That's what
looks
everybody
at,
wants.
that last one, you know?
I mean, there's that KU game last week going into triple overtime.
Yeah.
You know, that targeting call. Jalen Daniels. I only mention that because at the Michigan game, you had a similar play and they didn't
They
call
didn't
targeting.
call it.
And it looked
Yeah.
almost identical to the Jalen Daniels targeting.
Yeah.
update about the young man that got injured in the football game in Wisconsin?
It's still good. He's still alive, apparently he had his heart, they revived him out on the field before they got involved.
All right, Bobby, you got some good stuff for us this morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Commissioners.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody said that yet. Tim, I walked in, he had a big smile on his face, which is normal. I asked him if everything was okay. But, Rhonda told me she brought the loan summary up here.
Yep.
And the clerk just reminded me that maybe it'd be a good idea to do a quarterly update on this, so we can certainly do that. I think everything on here is pretty self-explanatory. Marie Bell, they just received a bill just a while ago. Their payment starts 1st of February. So that will start reflecting as a status there.
Was she closed through Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She was. Yep. She's back open again this morning. And the summary on the circus, with the by line item of expenses and income, you see that before you. And again, it shows that what we've talked about, roughly a $10,000 loss there. So, but there are still some other funds that still trickling in. I know that sounds crazy that it's happened that long ago, but there's still just funds coming in and out. I expect that to be resolved by the end of this month.
I know she had school district 244. You haven't heard anything from the other two school districts?
No, sir.
And they're supposed to be a part of it too, aren't they?
One of them, yes, sir.
One of them.
Yes, sir. 240, Waverly.
243.
Yes, sir. And, but other updates, I don't have any. Everything else is moving along good. There's some state reimbursement that was supposed to come back into the county. And, the clerk just checked on it, and it hadn't arrived yet, but it's forthcoming. I had spoken with one of the commissioners, and they had mentioned we reimburse ourselves first for the money that the commissioners have spent to date, and I think that's a good, wise thing. Pay yourselves back before you pay everything else. The rules are pretty flexible on this money the state's given us, so we can recapture some of the funds you've already spent and reimburse ourselves.
I think we are using taxpayers' money, and what better way to move, what was it, $255,000 or something like that,
yes,
roughly? To replenish some of our expenses, because we're probably $150,000 into it, would be my guess. So,
yes, sir.
This one line item here, Bobby, is Mary Bell.
Yes, sir.
Have they made any payments on those at all?
Not yet. I set their.
But that's a monthly payment.
I set them a grace period where their payments didn't start until first of the year.
Okay. It was set up to start January 1st.
Yes.
February 1.
Yes, first. Yes, sir. And when this next report I give you, I'll include more in depth. I'll include the amortization schedules for everybody, so you can see who's paying extra and who's, what interest they have left owing and so on. Like 2 or 3 of these people are paying extra. EB Sports, Highway 75, and Jade Seed. Well, even Auto Wash, they're paying extra, technically. But anyways, I'll include all of that.
Has the restaurant Mary Bell's been doing, still keeping?
They are.
People coming through the door?
They are. She's proved me wrong. I didn't think her bakery business was going to support it as much as it is. It's almost backwards from what I thought it would be. I thought the restaurant would really tote it, but the bakery's really toting it.
Good.
That's good. Good. Well, it kinda goes hand in hand. You gotta be there, you might as well serve food.
Yeah.
You're gonna be there baking goods, you might as well be serving food as well. As long as
Then
you
had
don't,
a steak night,
Yeah.
and,
really,
they said it went well.
good.
Are you planning on a circus for this year?
No, sir. Even if, we could book it again, don't wanna wear people out with the same old thing.
So do a biannual type deal,
Yes, sir.
every other year or something like that.
Yes, sir. Keep it special.
Well, I mean, you built those
Booths and stuff.
booths and stuff, and so a person kinda gotta justify the use of those or the building of those.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah.
And maybe be able to plan and get a few more bodies to help during that
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
Would help too.
That was the trick. We could have, done a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. Very well. Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's on. Now we'll start at 10 o'clock. Joe Serrano, bond attorney.
There he is.
Let's get it. Wait for this thing to connect.
It didn't make a hoot out noise. It didn't. Normally there's little eyeballs that light up in the front.
Is the light on?
Is the light on down there, Bob, above the fire cord?
There's a little blue light underneath.
Vote for.
That's probably a charging.
Tim
light.
hasn't tripped on it.
Well, when you moved it, I saw a blue light, but.
There she lit up.
Saw the blue light when you moved it, but
I see the blue light now.
you can see it?
I've got it.
Okay.
So now blue light in
To get it to,
kind of fake, or
I don't think so.
Jesse, you can just color back if you want to.
power lights on.
I don't think it is.
Wade, you are muted and I cannot hear anything, so if our item is up, please let me know. It's on.
It's off now. It's on now.
Okay.
There,
See, we ran a
Joe
test
just got,
run.
Joe just got unmuted. Maybe you gotta take your mute off.
Well, I can take the mute off, but you can't see anything.
Meeting, okay.
There it lit up. There we go.
There's your eyeballs.
It's looking at me.
Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
But we can't hear you.
Can I turn it?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Wow,
How about that?
That's better.
yeah, technology. Uh-oh. Too sunny. Let me turn this down. Does that work?
Working.
I'm the test case, huh?
You are the guinea pig.
Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. Looks pretty good. Except I'm a little bright, aren't I? Let me see if I can dim this a little bit.
Get away from the beachfront property.
I know, I'm at my brother-in-law's place, my sister-in-law's place. I may have to go inside, I don't know, but there's too much chaos going on in there. Is that too bright?
You're
Wade?
fine, you're fine.
It's fine.
Alright, hey Jesse, thank you.
I guess go ahead and start.
You want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you, Commissioners, Joe Serrano, Kutek Rock. what is for consideration this morning is, it's an engagement with Q-Tech Rock for disclosure. So this is related to the jail financing, and when we sold those bonds, we have certain obligations to the what we call the market, or the investors, bond investors, which is we call continuing disclosure obligations. In effect, what it provides is every year we have to file certain financial and operating data of the county on a list server called Emma, and we put that out annually. And I think it's right around September is when we'll put it out, but we compile information necessary to comply with the continuing disclosure obligations that we undertook when we sold those bonds. If we didn't have that disclosure obligation, the bonds wouldn't have been priced or sold where they were. It's kind of, it's a requirement.
Do we need Richard in here, since this letter's addressed to Richard?
that-
Your internet's fading on us, Joe.
Be confused.
Is it,
You're back now.
let me try. Am I back?
You're back
You're
now.
back.
Okay. I don't know where I lost you, but the engagement is for it's $7,500. It's $1,500 a year, which we will provide. My partner, Tyler, who you met and when we sold those bonds, will provide continuing disclosure obligations, $1,500 a year for 5 years. And then we'll renew that contract if we need to in 5 years. So for consideration is the improvement of the engagement letter, or approval of the engagement letter, that we will hold that money. Actually, the monies are not coming out of the general fund. They're coming out of the bond proceeds. They were priced as cost of issuance, so that $7,500 has already kind of been allocated. And we're holding that money, but we want to approve that the engagement with Q-Tech Rock for $1,500 a year for 5 years.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Richard just got into the room with us. We brought him in.
Okay.
Since the letter was addressed to Richard, so.
Joe, maybe to help a little bit, you and I talked about it, and although not exactly, Richard could have signed it, but you and I talked, and the preference was to be transparent, and you requested to present this to the commissioners, and you might indicate why.
Yeah, just when we talk about any kind of public spending, I don't know who has what spending capacity, but importantly, knowing the constituents, hearing what has been discussed in various meetings, we thought it would be, at least my preference, is to be extremely transparent that says, listen, they're still going to have ongoing obligations of the county. We will fulfill those obligations at $1,500 a year, but we wanted to make certain that everybody understood there's $7,500 of those bond proceeds that are going to be held in escrow for 5 years, and we wanted to have that out in the open, that it's not Q-Tech Rock getting another $7,500 for cost of issuance. Plus, whenever we spend public money, we like to take it to the board or the city council, just to make certain everybody's on board.
And Joe, your preference is the board sign the engagement letter?
At least approve, my preference is to have the board approve the engagement, and Richard or anybody it doesn't matter, it could be Richard that can sign it, but it's approval by the board and authorizing Richard to approve this engagement and execute that letter.
So basically making a motion to approve Richard to engage in Q-Tech Rock and sign of documents.
To sign the engagement letter, whatever that caption is at the top.
That's right.
Engagement for the county disclosure services.
Yes.
For a
Fee
total,
of $7.
for a total sum of $7,500
$7,500
to be paid out of bond proceeds. I guess the bond proceeds for the jail project. Does that sound right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, paid out of bond proceeds, payable in 5 equal annual installments.
This contract is really, nothing against Richard, this contract is really with the commission, right? Not
Correct.
with Richard, not with the treasurer.
Correct.
So should the motion be to authorize the chairman to sign and direct to sign, for the chairman to sign this agreement instead of Richard?
Whoever the contact person is, that's basically what it is.
And the reason I say that is that in 2 years, Richard could be gone, but the commission is always gonna be here.
2 years I could be gone.
You can be gone, but that's not, but you're signing for the commission.
Signing for the commission.
I suppose he would be signing for the treasurer, but I don't know. I mean, the agreement's actually between us and Kutek Rock, it's not between the treasurer and Kutek Rock, but unless Richard just wants to jump in and do it.
It's splitting hairs.
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
If it doesn't matter, I don't care either, I just want to throw it out.
It's $7,500 total, but it's $1,500 per year.
Yeah, they just hold the money in their trust account. And they draw off the trust and they get it.
$1,500 a year for 5 years, $7,500.
So is that a problem for Richard then, to have Richard do it?
I don't think either way. I think it's formalized in the meeting and.
He's gone. Yeah, I mean, we're signing it today or whenever. It's a one-time deal, and then we give them the $7,500 and it stays on their trusted books, and they just pull out $1,500 per year.
Personally, I'd say just, it's all in Richard's,
Well,
it's all with Richard's name in it. I just approved it.
I was just the contact person, so.
You have some kind of a motion?
She's drawing one up, I think.
Angie's wrong.
Angie's drawing one up.
So who are we gonna have do it?
I just have Richard, personally.
Richard will be fine.
Continuing disclosure services in the amount of $7,500 and 5 installments.
$1,500 for 5 years.
Well, we only pay them once.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're only paying one, they'll only draw out of it
Right.
5 times.
Funds to come from,
Bond proceeds.
which that'd be the jail project
Jail project.
construction fund.
Jail project bond proceeds.
Construction fund.
Yep.
Thought he jumped back on.
I'll wait till he's on in case he wants to change something too, maybe.
Can he get back on after that time?
Yeah.
Can.
It may have been, there it is. You're back.
I apologize. That technology is absolutely wonderful. It's my internet where I am is unstable. It keeps on popping in and out. So I don't know where we ended up.
I have a motion to read, if you want to listen and tell me if I need to change something. Move to authorize County Treasurer Richard Kroll to sign the engagement for continuing disclosure services in the amount of $7,500 and 5 installments of $1,500 over 5 years. Funds to come from the bond proceeds for the jail project construction fund, from the jail project construction fund.
Angie, that's great. That's a great motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Jesse's moved, Bob second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for letting me be the guinea pig. I apologize, it's on my end, but I appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Joe.
Happy New Year to everyone. Talk to you soon. See you in a bit.
All right, that was exciting.
Yep. Richard, while you're here, you give us a recap of the earnings that we had on our investments. What type of, interest rate are we receiving on investments right now? I don't think there was any percentages on that
No, it just depends on
document
where
that
it
you
is.
supplied to us.
There was stuff that got entered into right before things changed, and so I don't do any more but anyway, those were, I don't know what they were. The bulk of it's in money market accounts and CDs, and then there's some other bonds we had, that are somewhere around 1%, but most everything is at 3 to 4.
Most everything's 3 to 4 now.
And the bond money is in the 3 different banks, being Central, Citizens, Farmers, 4 banks. No, there's none at Central. So the other 3 banks, First National, Citizens, and Farmers, they have the 10 million in bonds, and that is 3 to 3.5, because we're limited on what we can make in interest.
On those bonds
Right.
alone.
And then so some of the CDs are renewed, some are in the 2%, some in the 3. The last ones I just did were 3.8. Central just told me I can't keep as much money there as I want, so I had to move some to their trust department. So, but their money market account is paying me more than anywhere else, because they're going with public funds somehow at 4.3.
Pretty darn good. All
So
day
this last
long.
month, interest with just the money I have at Central was 57,000 in interest.
Really, I'll be darned. Take that all day long, every day.
Yeah.
Smart money making. Hopefully it keeps, well, those aren't locked in, are they? No, they're not locked in, no
The
fluctuate.
3.8, and the assorted CDs for the bonds are, and then there's 24 million is in, locked up in CDs at varying rates from 2.9 to 4.
Those are locked in.
That's just 6 months though, and those are renewing.
Oh, every 6 months. That helps the bottom line.
It'd be a huge number for this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that was the end of our agenda for today. Guess we can hit roundtable. You got anything for roundtable for us, Richard?
I'm fine with your audit. Angie asked about signing checks on the 30th, that's okay. As
Well,
long
I
as I
hadn't-
get vouchers a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah, I hadn't asked you yet, but is the 30th okay? I wanted to make sure he was okay before it's meeting day, so I thought that,
What's the 30th? That's a
Monday. Is that okay? And then, I think they thought it would be okay for them too, when they're
Oh,
on.
yeah, the new guys.
The new guys.
The new guys.
So we can plan the rest of the year after they're on. Did you have anything else?
Got your roundtable waiting?
With the transition from the executive assistant, once Andrea's gone to Angie, there are a number of files and file cabinets down in that office, and my preference is that they stay down there. I do a lot of research, and there's a lot of documents that are contained in those file cabinets that I need to have access to. So if they stay down there, I can still have access to that room. It needs to be a locked room, because there's things in there that don't need to make it out of that office. The other option is if they went into Angie's office, then I need to have access to her office, because I'm here after hours and access them. I don't think she probably would want that. So that would be my request. I will also utilize that office and specifically that conference room to meet with victims, because I don't have anywhere to meet with them, and it's sort of a broken record at this point, but the county attorney's office is in the busiest place in the building. And I have victims that come in and have to sit and deal with traffic for situations where they don't need to deal with that. So this will also help me get them down there, and they won't have to walk through the entire courthouse.
So is this something that could possibly, you're overrun from your office, which is extremely full? Is there anybody that would be, are you looking at maybe housing somebody down there from your office?
Not right now.
Okay.
I mean, I just need to have it as sort of a, I guess, a extra space, and then I can use it as a meeting location with community corrections, meeting with clients down there as well. It sort of is imperative that they have, you don't want to have probationers trampling back and forth on different types of office settings. So right now, I don't think it's an issue, and it's, there's a lot of cameras going back and forth at different angles down there to help alleviate issues, and then the sheriff has someone who's routinely walking the courthouse. So that it's a temporary fix. Once the new jail is built and the office relocates, then that space won't be an issue, and that space can be utilized for something else. But for right now, that would be my request, and then all the file cabinets that are down there now could probably then be moved up here.
Once you're over to the other location.
Correct.
I just know your offices are full of people and added people at times. I didn't know if that'd be a good spot to spill over to.
I mean, we can see, once I bring some, hopefully some interns in again, that'd be potentially a good place for an intern to do some work. But right now, we're just working with what we have.
You don't have any interns right now, do you?
I don't, but, in the spring is when either externships occur, and then in the summer, I'd anticipate someone reaching out. I want to bring as many interns in as I have the capacity for, especially interns who have, I forget what Supreme Court rule it is that they can operate with a temporary law license under, but they can actually go in and actually do work in the courtroom under the supervision of an attorney. So that would be ideal, because then you can get somebody to go in the courtroom and cut their teeth on. Some cases in the bigger jurisdictions, they have a healthy internship program, and that's exactly what they do.
I don't have a problem with everything staying the way it is down there.
Well, there's probably, those two need to get together, there's probably some things that need to be sent up.
Well, or even just that I could work with Wade to have access to some of those files, because there might be some things that I need to continue carrying on with. You see what I'm saying?
Well, there might be some stuff that Angie can pull out of those files, and you'd have to get with Andrea to see which would be
Well, or
something that you
just
could
have
pull
a
out.
copy of something is all.
I think it's, as long as they stay there and I've got access to them, that's really all that matters.
Those
So we
two-
both would have
Those two can work that out, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
They can work that out.
Speaking of space, I would love to be able to punch a hole in that wall and have a pass-through so that on the other side, there's 10 feet over there. I mean, you see what room we have, and the driver's license side is very, I mean, there's not as much space as in between those desks there. And so if I could knock a hole in there, and then on the other side, that's where the driver's license would be, and I could actually use both those doors, so driver's license goes in one and just walks right in, doesn't have to, because it gets so congested. But it would also be a place for handicap accessible, wheelchair type, have a lower desk that they could actually come up and sit at. Because all the time we're asking elder folks to stand up and sit down and come up and sign this, and they go back and sit down because they can't, stand for long.
You're talking about the hall wall or the?
The one that goes over towards where my old office was.
Now, is that
It's
is that a cement block?
It's
They
whatever.
cut the window in there one time, I know.
Yeah, it's not a nice wall, not an easy place to do. But, Mike said it wasn't that big a deal to get through that. I don't know how many times he's gone through these walls, but that's what I would like to do. Again, that's up to you guys, it's your building. The space would be
Your office.
a lot of help. And being able to have the driver's license, like, and the handicap accessible would help immensely.
So your office isn't to the west anymore? It's to the east? So what is over on the west side?
File cabinets and a refrigerator. It's basically just part of the break room, I just move stuff back. I mean, we would lose space, but it would help the public a lot more.
So if you opened that up, made the doorway, then would you have somebody sitting over there full-time? No?
We would just basically have a desk there with one of our extra computers, we have one,
So,
not used very much.
elderly person that couldn't stand could go over there and sit at a desk level spot. I think it'd be great for the public.
A lot of times, there's the 3 frontline clerks are helping, but then Diane might be helping someone, or Tanya might, and that would be a place where that person could also sit, is if, there's no one at the handicap window,
Yeah.
then they could just go sit and they could operate within there.
Sounds like it'd make you more efficient and definitely more convenient for our citizens.
Everybody.
Well, especially the handicap side. Somebody comes in a wheelchair or something.
Right.
Can't look over the big retaining
Mhm.
wall. I would say get quotes.
Because we were waiting to see what was gonna happen with the security stuff, but now that that's not happening, it's a little bit different, but should be a lot cheaper, obviously.
I think you just need to have a structural engineer involved. I think there's a state statute that talks about if you're dealing with a public building, just to make sure you're compliant.
I would look up, make sure there's a statute.
I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain it is, that's why I'm mentioning. If you're gonna take out a wall, that's when it becomes, and it may be, I think it's under the,
State statutes are always good at requiring a whole lot more stuff.
Which
Spend
requires-
spend more money for it, yeah.
That's why I was going, that's the route I was going, I would just added 20,000 to it.
I think there is.
If there is, there is. I mean,
I don't think it's that big of an issue, it's more for liability purposes later on down the road. And as long as, I think whatever quote you get, they look at it and see that, for example, it's not a load-bearing wall, it's not gonna create any issues, which, punching a hole in the wall, and then you've got it covered, and it's not an issue later on down the road. It's a foreseeability analysis is what I call it.
I don't believe it's a load-bearing wall, but if it's block, it could be. But, I mean, you got the window there, that, what if they did a engineer for the window?
No, we didn't. And we've got doors in other deals too, we didn't do.
Okay.
We didn't
So
do
do you
it.
need to-
Maybe, yes, maybe should have, but we didn't, so.
Okay.
Well, we just did it because we felt that if we got in trouble, we had a good attorney that could get us out of it.
Easier to ask for forgiveness than it is
Yeah,
for permission.
we already, but you get your door, whatever you want, because it's already there.
One way to do it.
It's the harder way some days, but.
Yeah. Could be more expensive at times.
That's the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Okay. Got any more good stuff?
Not good stuff,
We don't want it to end.
well, it's business as usual, I guess. So the postage machine, I've been sort of doing a little looking into that, because that probably falls into something that I'm gonna watch over. I've got the manual, it's 298 pages, somebody wants to look at that. What I'm gonna suggest, and depends on what everybody thinks, there's a daily time when the mail has to be taken to the post office, and that's what, by 2 o'clock, if I remember right, so that whatever's stamped for today can go out in today's mail. If it's after that, then it creates an issue. So people go down, they run things through the postage machine, they put it into a basket, and then at that time, it gets taken, and usually that's barred. In certain situations, if she's not here or something else is happening, we need to have a fallback. And I don't think, right now, my understanding is Kara down in the appraiser's office helps with people who don't know how to run the postage machine, and I don't think that's fair on Kara, and especially if Barb's not around. So my suggestion would be, since everybody uses it, including the county attorney's office, there'd be one person from each office that knows how to use the basic functions on that thing, and then if there's an issue, then that person can show somebody how to use it. I'm gonna make sure there's no issues with there not being enough postage, because I think we pay for $1,000 at a time through whatever the company is, and then something to do with ribbon and so on and so forth. That way there's no issues with postage not making it to the post office when it should. I don't think there's an issue, but there won't be an issue if everybody works together. That's my opinion. The other issue is, at some point in time, Connie wants to have that postage machine moved, but right now she's okay with where it is, and it may be for right now until we get things sorted out, because space is at a premium in this building. So leave it there. Once the new building goes up, then it can transition into the office across the hall.
The dreaded postage machine.
I mean, I don't know how much postage is used or how many envelopes go out, but I imagine, the treasurer's office, when they do tax statements, there's a mass mailing when.
I seen the weed department come in one day, and they had 2 flats full of envelopes they was bringing in.
For elections, you probably use it on a regular basis, jury notices go out, I'm sure. So we just need to make sure there's enough postage on it. I don't think it's ever been an issue, but I'm gonna know a little more about how it works and operates, because I wanna know if I have to use the postage machine then.
So does the mail carrier not come inside the building to pick up mail?
They do. They don't usually pick it up in here though.
Why can't they pick it up?
Too much. That's it.
Huh?
pick up the mail and carry it.
Well, I'm just throwing
They
it out
can,
there.
they can if it's ready and they have it for them when they come in.
Well, that's what I'm saying, why don't we just, if it's not there by,
But when you do what the treasurer,
150.
do what the, treasurer sends out, the tax statements, or the appraiser does, now, they're not gonna pick up them 5 or 6 trays of mail, they're not gonna do that.
well, I can kinda understand that, but, I mean,
Here's one of the catches too. When the mail person comes in here, well, I don't know what time they come in now, mail service hasn't been real good for the last 16 years, but.
since you retired.
No, but when they come in here, if they come in at 12 o'clock and pick this mail up, it's not gonna get back to the post office till probably 4 o'clock or 4:30, so it's
So it
not,
goes out the
it's
next
not
day.
gonna go out this day.
Right, well, I mean,
I mean, that's something they need to remember, it's not gonna go out till the next day.
I'm just trying to fix the problem.
And the mail, it goes to Kansas City, right?
I think Kansas City now.
Even if it's Burlington mail, it goes to
If-
Kansas City only to come back to Burlington.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, if the carrier picks it up, good chance it won't go out the same day.
Right, and I mean, everybody needs to understand that.
Exactly.
Or they need to run it down to the post office themselves.
I think the issue is if something gets run through the machine and it shows today's date and it doesn't show up until tomorrow, then we have an issue. So what I wanna make sure is that we deal with that issue so that doesn't happen, because what will probably happen is and Bob, you probably.
That would be an
right,
issue.
That the post office will say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore, and it'll become a problem, so.
Well, we'll lose our postage machine, is what they told me.
Yeah, so that would be a problem.
It's a Pitney Bowes postage machine, isn't it?
Lineage,
It's
Oh, it's
not
lineage.
Pitney Bowes.
Maybe I ought to check into Lineage.
yeah, it was cheaper to go with than.
So
Wasn't this in your office once upon a time?
Mhm.
What about, does this post machine have to be under watch 24/7? Like I said, why couldn't it be moved, if Connie wants to come, why couldn't it be moved down into that other vacant office?
it could, but then somebody has to have access to that room, and that room has things in it
That don't need
That don't,
everybody's
everybody's
access.
business, yeah.
That's what the issue is there.
Okay.
I think temporarily where it is right now
Yeah.
works, and then as.
There's gonna be a lot of changes going on around here, so I'd say, you know, probably where it's at is probably where it needs to stay for the time being. Then when
Well, I know-
things get more permanent, things can be figured out.
I know Andrea called me one day about the postage machine down there, and she really wanted it out, and I think we discussed it in an open meeting, then said it's gonna stay where it's gonna, staying where it's at,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
So, that was here a while
In
back.
reality, where it's at now, because most of the offices that use it the most are on this floor.
I mean, I think the perfect location for it, once the transition occurs, is across the hall. And there'll be plenty of space in there once the new jail is built and the county attorney's office moves.
Is there anybody that would be inside that office at that time?
I think you can, open it up and have the first wing of that office open and shut the other door and have it secure access if you need to.
But there's nobody there to monitor if Billy or Susie brings 12 envelopes in that's their own and runs it through the machine, nobody's paying for it.
2 or 3 years
Other
from
than
now, there
the
might
county.
be, you never know.
Well, so if,
It changes.
I mean, the issue is if people are using their own, putting their own mail in, and I assume that they're not, that's a violation of the law, and that's actually a criminal action, which is misuse of public funds, so I don't think right now the issue is that that's what's happening.
No, I'm not saying it
Honestly,
is.
there's the mail person rolling through the courthouse right now
1040.
and had a basket in hand, but,
10:40, it's early.
so I think there's a way to add codes for each office. That's not what's been done. I think there's a single code and everybody uses the same code, but you can add codes for each office so you can track what's going out of each office. Now, do you want to get to that point? I don't know, but surely we don't need to police the mail machine.
You would
I
hope
mean,
not.
if it, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because when that gets done, I mean, everybody gonna have a key card, all employees are gonna have a key card anyway to get into the building, basically. And that door there could be just one of them that's used. And the building up at JSB, if Steve uses his county fire card or I use my card, it tells you who used what card. I mean, if something would happen, it goes back, it'll tell you who was there when. So, I mean, it's not like you're tracking people, but it does record that.
I mean, I'm sure we can figure out what the usage of the postage machine is and track it, see if it looks out of whack, but, I've not been told that needs to be done,
I just say, who's gonna track that?
but I guess if it's an issue, then it needs to be addressed, but I don't know that it's an issue.
Yeah.
If something looks funny, then
It's a circus. If it looks funny, it's a circus.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it more efficient and see that it operates smoothly like a well-oiled machine. Every office in the county utilizes it, so in my opinion, everybody should be responsible for it somewhat. That's why one person, somebody from, let's say, emergency management comes up and they need to use it, instead of spending 20 minutes trying to track down somebody who knows how to use it, somebody knows how to operate and use the basic functions on it and can get by in a pinch, then that saves time, it's more efficient, and it gets the postage machine issue addressed.
We still have people come and ask our office to go help them, and we do. Because we ran it for somebody forever.
But then you have to have someone stop what they're doing and go over there.
Right.
So someone in my office, whether it's me or someone else, they're gonna know how to do it so that they don't have to go ask somebody else for help. Because you have 8 departments and 5 of them go to use it and they need to go over to Angie's office and have somebody, well, how much time is taken from somebody's regular duties? To me, that's an inefficiency we can deal with.
Time is money. Time is money. Okay.
Outside of that, that's it. Happy New Year.
More seeds are planted. Angie, do you have any
Yes,
else?
Christina has emailed me, she will be here the 23rd, she had a cancellation.
Sweet.
She also said that if they have a scheduled sick leave or vacation leave, then it comes out of their balance when the courthouse is closed. So she will make an adjustment on that and bring that. So we said checks and vouchers on the 30th, Monday, following the meeting. And then, I got a question from the hospital. They made 2 payments this year, one at the end of April and one at the end of May. And they want to make sure that they're, up to date. If you guys feel that that's up to date with those 2 payments, since you changed it to twice a year, or if you want them to make another one at the end of the year, how did you want that?
I think we was gonna evaluate. You redone the schedule, did you not?
So the way that the motion read and the change that was made was at the end of June, so June 30th, and then December 31st is what it said.
Right. And I think the one they made in April, they made before we did all this change, because they were supposed to be making them anyway, and then they made it in May. So I would say that they're due one.
For the end of December?
They're due one for the end of December now, and then one in June, unless things change. Yeah, June and December, they're due them. It's
So
just-
two payments a year.
And I think the
Two
reason,
payments a year.
the first one was because they had made that payment just before they came in,
Right.
wanting to,
And that was probably June.
that was April,
That was April.
when they did that, yeah.
And then I think they come in once a year, sort of give an update, and they may request for some pivot from what the current arrangement is, and now you'll have two new commissioners who can take that up and see.
They might
if
wanna
that's
pay
good.
more.
But I think they're due a payment for the end of December now.
Two payments in 2022
Yep.
was what they was gonna pay.
Yep.
If they haven't made it, they need to make it.
Two existing beyond from where they were, because the April one they'd already made before we made that agreement. So that was not part, to me, that wasn't part of it, because I
It's supposed to be a
think what Wade
monthly
said,
payment.
June and December is when they were supposed to be making the payments.
June 31st, December 31st,
Yep.
and that goes out to 2046 or something like that. So it's, what, $30-some thousand per,
Yeah.
33,000.
33 something.
per payment.
$33,333.
Okay, so I
So
will
that
let
answer your
them know-
question?
Yes, I will let her know that they are due one payment, and then the reminder of the schedule, June 30th and December 31st.
I would, if you've got the schedule on an email, I'd just email the schedule and say,
Yeah.
here it is. I'm sure they've got it.
I'm sure they do.
It might be put away.
Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Doesn't hurt to send another one,
Doesn't hurt to ask.
okay?
And then, going off kind of what Wade was talking about with the changes on the executive assistant position, is it okay if I get with Brad to have him do like a backup to say, you know, so that everything's there, and then I can get the files when Andrew's gone, so I have that,
Yeah, your last day's the 13th, isn't it?
right, so I would have access on my computer to the files, because I'm sure there's a lot of things saved that I can just,
Right, transfer over
Yeah.
yours.
instead of recreating the wheel.
I've asked for a copy of everything that she has to be put on my server too, because I mean, for the same reason, I utilized her to do some research for me, so.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with you getting access to that information. You're assuming part of her stuff, so.
Okay. I just didn't wanna ask Brad without your permission.
Gotta have it.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Johnson?
I handed out some homework on ESG, and take a look at it, good read. Also, just was gonna mention that between, well, right before December the 25th, National Heritage Areas are no longer being guided by your federal representation. They got handed over to, I believe they said, the Park Service, and now it's funded through the Park Service. That is something somebody and everybody should be paying attention to.
Which is what we discussed here several months ago, that was how it's gonna be, wind up being funded,
Yep,
and it happened.
yep. And it got done on that bill with another part of the 1.7 trillion. I think that's it.
More battles, more battles. More battles. Bob?
Just bypass me, come back to him, right?
Oh, okay. Dawn, you got anything?
A couple of things we already done there when we had some time, so. I have nothing else.
Okay. I don't think Andrea had anything for me. We've got the wellness deal to do next week. Nominate, or,
Yeah, you guys will, whoever it is, you will need to do that,
Right.
because they have a meeting the next day.
yeah, that day, so.
I have to take a picture of you presenting it.
I've got a something here that sat on my desk, I don't really know what it is. It's upside down right now. Oh, it's not. It's a plaque for, Tim Johnson for his service to Coffee County Commission from 2020 to 2023.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for the taxpayers giving me a chance and
Thanks
representing.
for, putting up with us.
Thank you.
You want the big foam,
Sure he does.
Thank you.
something you can hang above your mantle to remember not to ever do again, right?
I like throwing gas on fire.
Yeah.
Won't let you forget about it, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
You bet.
appreciate it.
Been a pleasure, been a pleasure. Other than what, that's all we don't,
That you're talking about earlier.
yeah.
For the, what do we call that, the north property?
North property.
The north property, the house that's on the north property, just, maybe we'll call it planting seeds for the board to think about. At a certain point in time, the board's gonna have to figure out what to do with the current occupants and the long-term plan for that part of the property. I know on the zoning side, they're looking at dividing that property off so that it's pulled from the overall property. And then at that point, it will be an issue of what to do with the house and the shop and everything that goes with the property. In the interim time period, the prior landowners are there, and they will probably, my understanding is they're willing to be there for a period of time, and that works to the county's benefit because they know that property better than anybody else, especially in the winter months going into the summer. They will tend to and take care of the property as if it were their own. The county has that property insured. They have a rental policy for whatever they have at the property. But that's sort of the idea and the plan. And looking into the future, nobody can say for certain what's gonna happen with this CHIPS project, but there is a lot of positive momentum. The CHIPS project will provide the county some valuable insight into what's gonna happen with the remaining acreage of that property surrounding the house and the homestead, I guess is the best way to put it. And hopefully that news will occur within the next couple of months, at least the positive momentum, because behind the scenes, a lot of people, I think, are saying, well, you're talking about a lot of what ifs, a lot of the check is in the mail type of situation, and I think, I don't wanna speak for the board or for the chairman, but my understanding is there's quite a bit of positive momentum behind the scenes regarding the county's place at the table regarding the CHIPS project overall. And unfortunately, a lot of that positive momentum cannot be shared in full at this time because there's a lot of other stakeholders who have to provide their insight. But you know, this project is moving forward behind the scenes. The county has taken a position that, they're all in, and, I think that's the only way the county can be competitive with, what's required to land this project, which, from what people have said, may be the biggest, well, it will be the biggest project in the history of the county and potentially even, the state, is what some say. So, it's that big. It is the answer to what if Wolf Creek closes tomorrow, and, this board, including each of you, needs to be figuring out the property, what happens next with it, because the county is not in the business of being, real estate moguls, but the purchase of that property, including the house and the homestead that surrounds it, it occurred for a reason, because that land was vital to this project. So whether the property long-term ends up being, sold is something that has to be figured out as well, and what that would look like. So this is just planting seeds for everybody to be thinking, and, at some time in the very near future, we'll probably have to figure out from a tenant perspective what a rental agreement would look like to maintain the current occupants, or whether after the property is, divided on the zoning side, whether selling the property is more economical or more of a benefit to the county. And those are the two analysis points that need to be considered. And I think right now you don't know what's gonna happen with the chip side, and when information is gonna be presented that will give each of you the ability to make a better decision on that front. So that's kind of where things are. Is that?
Well, I've spoke to the property, the old property owner Saturday. He's got 120 days to get out. Just, I understand his dilemma. And I explained to him, well, you kind of did this to yourself, because it was all or nothing. And I said, Dale, that's why we wanted a year extension, a year option. And so I told him, I said, you get with your wife and you guys discuss what maybe a monthly rental type deal would look at, and maybe what a purchase would look at, even if it could be done. I said, I don't know if it can be done. I said, it is beneficial to the county that somebody is in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, there's no, we didn't want to take y'all's dream home from you, but we didn't have an option at that point in time. And so they have come up with a number of rental monthly, depending on what we agree on as to how long they would stay there. So, 6 months, 8 months, a year. I told him, in my eyes, I didn't see anything happening to that side of the property for 3 to 5 years. Just my own personal opinion.
Except for it being divided.
Except for it being divided. I mean, the chances of them getting the property, nothing but the house. And we've got to go through the steps like Wade said. But the first steps is get an agreement, or we're gonna have, the county's gonna have to pay to have that property looked after the 120 days.
So they would only be in the house?
The house and the shed.
Or in the shed?
The house and the shed is all that they would be able to have access to. The property itself, the pasture and the pond and everything, wow, that one pond right by the house, I mean, that's no big deal. But if they've got 120 days to get everything out of that house and that shed, And if we're gonna hold to that, and they're gonna hold to that, then they need to get started on something else.
Wouldn't it, guy, be best to get it surveyed out?
But you don't have to get it surveyed out to do a rent.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's gonna cost the county, I don't know what, to have somebody oversee that house monthly. So you got somebody willing to pay to stay there.
I
I think
understand
it's in
that.
the county's best interest to jump
Yeah.
and come to an agreement. You know, you market, what's market value? I don't know. There's no house out there that's got that potential of rental. I mean,
So you define what they're getting control of.
it's in the rental contract. But you just need to come down to, need to agree upon a number in my eyes of a monthly payment to the county for the property.
Because they're renting, then they don't have to start worrying about renting the storage to put their stuff in, because they leave stuff exactly the way it is.
Exactly. So,
Would you go from month to month, or would you?
I would throw a year out there, but I would go for it.
I would assume somebody who has, I mean, that big of a house and shop a month to month probably is not, that they would all get that, would be my.
Because at the end of the month, you could kick them out and they have no plans.
I think an arrangement where you would give them 90 days notice to get, to leave. So you could do a longer term agreement, but with a 90-day notice provision that says if something happens, then.
You still give them adequate time to get out.
So, I mean, right now, nothing has to be decided. Again, it's just planting seeds, and your input and feedback is gonna be, vitally important as well, but that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Well, their 120 days is getting, I mean, we're into February, and so if they've got to get construction started on a new site, they need to get to move, but they can't rush it because there's frost in the ground.
Yeah.
Or potential.
Is the lake included in the property? Is, you know, the lake right west of the old rock quarry, I think is.
Yeah, I mean, it's included.
It's included.
It won't, I don't think it's gonna be included. If I got any thoughts, the way I looked at it is the water would possibly be a benefit to the county. So I would, if the house sells, if they section the house off, my personal opinion was without the lake. Just that one little pond.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the house.
But not
Not
the old
the
rock
lake.
quarry.
That was my
I was
thing.
just curious what.
I would think keeping that acreage, whatever you take out, as small as possible.
Yeah.
By
Bobby
far
has
in our
our drawing,
benefits.
it's not,
Yeah, we've
the drawing, but it's a potential.
We've done some
How to
drawings,
do
and
it.
the biggest problem is that lagoon sits so far north. If a person could move that lagoon up, or maybe even go septic, that way you could cut that off, you know, and gain more acreage for the development. And so, that was the first thing I seen on an aerial map, was like, I don't like that lagoon being clear down there. A person could move it up, or you could go big septic tank, something.
Yeah, or like someone mentioned before, you know, we might go on the sewer system out there.
Could, potentially,
If there
yeah.
ends up being that route. Yeah.
So you can have property, the property owner can have, a lagoon on the other side of the fence of your property, as long as you've got an agreement with the landowner. So it can be on somebody else's property. So, I mean, that would just, it could still be our lagoon, we just have to take
It
care of it.
could, but it still makes it unusable. If we've got that agreement, then we can't build anything there.
True.
No.
But I have seen, in my time here, I have seen a couple of times where that became a problem because the other land sold.
Right.
It did not work.
But, I mean, in the short term, I know it's, we're gonna have to make a decision here pretty quick. Or we're gonna wind up probably losing a tenant.
In the short term, it might make sense to really consider the rental option, at least for a period of time.
That's what I'm seeing as a benefit to the county.
And then several months down the road, when you know more about what's happening with the I mean, what was the timeline that Bobby said, February, early February?
That's what he said.
I thought it was March.
As far as when it's gonna be announced,
When the county or when something will be announced regarding the CHIP project? I know it's a moving target, it seems to
it's
keep
been a moving
changing.
target. I think it's February, something throws in my eyes.
February sixth.
Something like that, yeah.
So at least to provide enough cushion so that if an announcement is made, then there's a window of opportunity to make informed decisions.
And in my eyes, I believe the east property will be developed before the west property is. So that just tells me that's 2 years, a minimum on the west line.
I don't think we'd be hurting our position if we give them at least 120 days notice because of, having to know where
Yeah,
they're going.
it would be, I
think
look
they-
at it as a benefit to the county to hold
Yeah.
them there as possible.
They should
as
have
long as possible.
substantial time, is my opinion.
I'd do the same 120, and I'm sure Tom would be for it, but, I mean, I'd do the same 120 at the end of it if they needed to get out, or if we needed them to get out, do 120 days. So, I've got the numbers, I just don't know if I can, a better way, so.
Well, you talk about development, it doesn't matter, if this land is divided up, you can develop that whole project and it's not gonna affect that house.
Right.
So, I mean, you can own that house and rent it to them for 20 years if you wanted to, and it's not gonna affect the project whatsoever.
I think the big issue is how is it gonna be divided? Because I've heard in one conversation that it will include the pond or the lake. I've heard in another it won't. I've heard that the county's gonna go up to where the existing lagoon is, and then I've heard that pull back. So I think defining what the parameter of that is, and then in zoning, they're working on it, so what may be presented to them may be completely different. It sounds like we have 4 different things and 4 different options, and even if it got divided off and somebody was wanting to purchase it, the value is gonna be different depending on which one of those 4 things is gonna take place. And if, for instance, the current occupant wants to continue renting it, will that change whether they wanna rent it if it's divided a certain way? I don't know those things.
You said the zoning's work on it, and I don't know who's got the zoning work on it, but it's the commission's call of how they want to divide that to start out. So the commission ought to be deciding what it is, then take it to the zoning for their zoning approval of it, because it's not somebody else's out here's call. It's the commission's call of how they divide that property, so what they do with it.
I think the dividing of the property is seeds planted in the back. Like I say, I think the task at hand is getting something, visiting with them,
Right.
setting down a monthly, drawing up a contract, and putting 120 days at the end of the contract for notice of eviction or whatever. I think that's what's at hand now.
I'm sorry, so what you're saying is that you could do a contract for a year. At the end of the year, then, but they'd still be 120 days available to them
Right, a person could make it a moving target, a renewal at the end of the 365.
Right.
With the option to renewal, you make however you want to do it,
Right.
They might be there for 3 years, you don't know.
So I think what needs to happen is next week, this needs to be brought back up. Once you have the 2 new commissioners live on board, Tom will be back, have a spirited discussion and figure out what direction to move in, and then from there, put pen to paper and get things moving.
Yeah, 'cause I'm afraid we start bumping the 120, I'm afraid we start bumping that 120 days on them. They're gonna already have something started, and we're gonna lose a possible tenant, and then we're gonna have to take care of it.
Do you think they can hold off for a week?
I told them the seeds would be planted today, and try to get it taken care of by the end of next week, or for next week's meeting. And then we can
Sounds
start.
like the quicker we get everything identified and move forward, it'd be in the best interest of both parties, so.
I think it's really in the best interest of the county, and it's gonna help them out too as well.
Yeah.
But how can you put a price tag on a 6,600 square foot mansion? There's nothing to go off of. You just gotta have something that's gonna be agreeable between both parties. And the convenience of having somebody there is in the benefit of the county.
Yes. Not vacant.
So, seeds are planted. I don't think I said anything I wasn't supposed to say.
I don't think you did.
I didn't get the-
Because you said basically the same thing last week.
He didn't throw an eraser at you.
Yes, I didn't get the ally at me.
Will they be on the agenda for next week?
That'd probably just be work session next week. Maybe Wade could start rolling some literature for rental agreement or something, I don't know. Now I'm getting the eyeballs.
Didn't serve down yet.
Yeah, it's not too bad, it's not burning through my soul yet.
Wait till the text message comes through.
Yeah. That's all I had, folks, ladies and gents, public. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, guys. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be, highs and lows, lots of them. So, we can adjourn.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Back to Bob.
Back to Bob.
Yeah. I just want to say out here, land to the people of the 5th District especially, I appreciate your support for the last 16 years. I know I haven't had everybody's, but you know, I don't worry about the ones that don't support me, because they contact me quite often anyway. But, like I said, it's 800, I refigured that, it's 844 meetings, not counting recess meetings that a guy does in 16 years, plus all the others, which I don't regret. And contrary to some beliefs, I have not regretted anything that I have done over the 16 years for the county. Everything has been benefit of the county, in my opinion. I was lucky enough, I was on the grounds, I was one of the original people of the LEPC program, which we initiated not too long after I got here. I was one of the originals of the Emergency Service Group Committee, and that was started because of the JSB building. And I was actually the associate with the wellness program when it started, so those are 3 of the things that I've been with. And I would just say to those 2, I think they'll do a fantastic job, but what I want to say is, I know in past, and I probably shouldn't say it, there's been a lot of behind-the-scene non-meetings gone on that weren't in this meeting, and guys, don't do it. You're here to represent the county. And with that said, I'm going to just give you this advice. I think what you guys should do next year is next week is elect Jesse chairman, because he knows all these things that's going on right now. He's been involved in them, and you guys got a lot of things coming up. And I'm going to suggest that one of you 2 step up and be vice chairman, because you're going to be here, and you need to step into this and get to know what's going on. And one thing about vice chairman and chairman is, no one commissioner has any more authority than any other one. It doesn't matter if you're chairman, vice chairman, what you are, you have no more authority. You all have an equal vote. And I think you guys will do a great job, and Wade, I'm gonna leave all this crap here for you to go through. Thank you. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, it's been a pleasure, 2 years serving with you, Bob, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Wish it had been more.
Yeah.
But, I procrastinated.
But Wade,
too
if
long.
it was, Wade wouldn't have been able to be here.
That's right. That's true. I procrastinated too long.
Yeah, you
I'm good at that.
From just watching the meetings, Bob, I can tell that, you've got an incredible memory, and the knowledge that you bring of things done in the past is, I'm gonna be calling on if I'm able.
Thank you,
to
you're
do
welcome
that.
to.
Yeah.
You're welcome to.
Yeah, sure be looking forward to doing that, so.
I won't tell you you do what you need to do, but I'll give you all the history I can give you of why things are
That's
the
what
way
I'm
they are.
looking for, thank you.
If you can call him and get him on the phone, you're gonna be doing better than me, that's all I can say.
Well, I will try.
Yeah, your name comes up when you call.
You hit that ignore button.
Learn to block it.
I mean, but I've enjoyed all 16 years. I'm glad that I stepped in and did it, so.
It's been, like I say, there's ups and downs with everything.
Yep.
I've been involved in quite a few boards the last almost 60 years now. And for one, Bob, I've never been around anybody that's dedicated to a business or dedicated as a board member as much as what you have. Highly commend you for your leadership, and like Wade said, your memorization and what you brought to the county the last 16 years cannot be overlooked.
No,
No way.
no way. We will miss you when you're gone.
Yes, sir.
Well, with that, before he starts swailing that knife around some more.
I'm gonna leave that for Wade. I'm leaving that for Wade too.
You don't get along that blade though, bird deep.
I know, but it's still gonna hurt.
Right there.
Nobody has anything else, we'll adjourn at 11:16.
So, let me just go back to work now.
No, I got till in the morning at 3:30.